Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
YouTube को cover करे. Yes.
Kwani stima ilipeleka kila mahali?
Aji imeenda simu haiconnect.
Data zinaishi.
Data inaishi. Hello comrades.
Haki.
Data ikiisha nunua ingine.
Singenua mingi.
Kwani hizo laini zenye hazina off?
Tuende vile utumia hivyo.
Lecturer. Lecturer akinipata.
You people are
Akinipata
making
sasa
noise. Why don't you just mute once you've joined the class? What is the essence of telling us data inaisha?
Job, you are smiling too much. Vipo makoram? Hello?
Yes, Doc.
Mtumie kwa tita nisaidie.
We want to start off.
Hiyo header kwanza ni first. Basi shika hiyo nisaidie hiyo niende nayo.
Fidel Ben, you can mute, you're making noise.
There's no noise on my side bana.
Leo kupishana tu. Yeah, we can start off. Switch off your videos and microphones.
Okay, you can do that also.
Please switch off. John Smew. Job. Job Smew, switch off. Last time we were looking at the stock markets, and we did conclude by looking at how to make a viable investment. We did say that stock market is a market that deals with the buying and selling of shares, and these are public limited companies, stocks of municipal authorities, and most importantly, the government bonds and the like. We did look at investment, and we said that for you to make a viable investment, you must consider the return on investment, the security of the investment, the degree of liquidity, payback period, the tax policy, and the growth rates. That is what we did discuss. So as we proceed today, we were specific last time that investment in stocks and bonds, buying of selling and selling of shares, you look at the nature of the product. You decide what product you want to invest in. We talked of agriculturals, commercial and allied, industrial, finance and banking, alternative investments, and the like. You look at the performance of the company in terms of the dividends, and this is an indicator of how transferable those shares of that company are. You must diversify because you need a different product mix. And this product mix gives us an opportunity so that if one area, one product fails, you have the other to pay back. The growth rate and security is important, especially security, because we are advised that you go for those of the government, like now the pipeline LPOs, and that is what is the current in the country today. I want us to start looking at the second last topic. These are a bit lengthy topics, and they are basically full of calculations. And as we go through them, I want you to pay keen interest, keen attention to how we are going to go through them. The workings are very important, and therefore you need to be alive to them. So I want us to look at the broad area of statistics. This is an area that is very, very important in your life, very, very, very important in your activities, very, very important in your programs and in your households. That the concept of statistics, this is a mathematical concept. It's not just a concept, but a science in itself. Because looking at statistics, we are concerned with methods of how we collect data, how we organize data, how we analyze data, how we present data, and most importantly, the interpretation that we give for purposes of decision making. So we give or we make decisions out of what we have analyzed. And we can only analyze if we have organized and if we have collected. Collection of data comes in different forms. That this data can be what we refer to as the primary data. This is the original data that is collected at first hand. Like if you do your cut, the mark you get is primary data. If I ask you how old you are, then you tell me you are 17, you are 18, you are 19, you are 20. That is primary data. If I record it the way it has occurred at first hand, then secondary data, that is what we get, that is already written, what is in books, what is in journals, what is on the internet, that is secondary. Ladies and gentlemen, we have also what we refer to as qualitative data. Data that is not numerical, data that may not be quantified. Like if I talk of gender, if I talk of sex, if I talk of skin complexion, you see, gender is either male, female, or the other transgender. So we cannot assign a value. So that is qualitative. The element of being a boy or a girl, male or female, that's qualitative. Black, chocolate, dark, or light skinned, these are qualitative aspects. But also we have quantitative aspects. Quantitative such that they are numerical. Numerical in a sense that we can assign a number. That if we assign a value, then that becomes quantitative. Say, for example, the number of children, the mark you have scored, how many you are in this class. Now you stand at around 924. So this is quantitative because we are able to assign number. Quantitative, you are not able to assign number. So quantitative can further be described as being discrete or continuous. If it assigns a whole number, if it assigns an exact value, like how many are you in this class? How many are you in your family? the number of children, how many chairs are there, how many desks are there, then this exact value is what we describe as being discrete. But however, if it assumes some values within some range, then that is described to be continuous. Say, for example, your height, you can be 5 feet 7 inches. You see, 5.7. You are assuming some decimal number. It's not a whole number. That is what we mean by being continuous. You can look at how many, whatever that is decreased, how many marks did you score? Marks are continuous because you can get 50 and a half, 40.5, 72.3. Once you have that decimal, once you have that fraction, once it's not a whole number, then that will be described as being quantitative data, but continuous. So there is a difference between qualitative and quantitative. And under quantitative, it can be discrete or continuous. So once we understand the nature of and the categories of data, then we are able to see how do we now collect. Because we are saying statistics deals with methods of collecting, organizing, analyzing, presenting, and most importantly, interpreting of what we have collected, organized, and analyzed and presented for purposes of decision making. Life is all about decisions. So as we do this, we need to know how do we collect the data. We collect the data in a number of ways. One, by use of questionnaires. Questionnaires, these are written questions which are filled by a respondent. The person filling is the respondent. So a set of questions that are provided and somebody responds to those questions in light of his or her understanding, that gives us the questionnaire. And the questionnaires are in two types. We have the open and the closed. Closed, they limit you in the number of responses. Like if I asked you, what is your gender? So I give you the option, male, female, transgender. So of the three options, you choose one because you must belong to one. That is closed. If I gave you a question and gave multiple choices, I have restricted. So those restrictions make it closed. For open, they can allow for a variety of responses. That how do you get to Bungoma town from Kibabi University? You can describe from Kibabi University to the highway, you take a boda through Kandui, you can go through Malaba, you can go through Chwele, Kimilili, Webuye, and get to Bungoma. You see, it is open. So open questionnaires normally give an option for the respondent to give opinion. But they are normally therefore also limited in terms of its application. But interview schedules, this is when you have an interaction between two parties, the interviewer and the interviewee. You are asked a question, then you respond. So the response you give between the two or more parties gives what we refer to as the interview. But many times, we have an opportunity to ask supplementary questions for clarification. This is what makes it different from the questionnaires. You are able to ask for details, clarifications, and the like. So as much as the questionnaire is written, paper and pen, interviews are normally face to face or by phone or any other form that is not paper and pen. Then we have observations. You look at something, then you make a judgment. You want to see Who is this Dancun Wasike Wekesa? So you want to describe who Dancun Wekesa is. So you have to look at him, and therefore, by observation, we are employing the senses. The sight, you can see. The touch, the smell, and the like. What you use the senses, especially the sight. You can describe Dancun Wasike as being short, stout, noisy, and the like. Amurumuruasi for that matter. So what you can see and describe, this is what calls for observation. You can look at me when it's on a Sunday, a holy period like this one, the Lent, which we want to go to, we are going through. When I'm going to church, how do I behave? When I'm in a social place, how do I behave? When I'm in an office, how do I behave? When you meet me in the corridors, how do I behave? Things that you can see, what you can observe. Then, of course, we can, and these days you are fond of using the fourth category. Videos, anything happening, you see people with the phones, photographing. That you are taking pictures, taking videos on a given phenomenon, on a given matter, on a given issue. Then you can analyze that. You are only but collecting data. So the current ways of collecting data is by use of technology, which gives us photographs, which gives us videos. And this seems to be the most common. Apart from just observing, apart from interviewing, apart from giving questions, people are embracing technology and they are therefore using it to collect data. So once we have collected data, what next? Because statistics deals with collection of data by questionnaires, interviews, observation, or technology, then we need to see how do we organize. So before we organize that data, we must further understand this data. What is it describing? In terms of what we have collected, we can talk of data in terms of the population. The population is the whole, the entirety of what we are looking at. I want to look at university students, meaning I must look at all this in all public and private universities. But I can look at a section or intend to look at a section of the entire population. This is what we refer to as the target population. I will be targeting maybe those in public universities, or those in private universities, or those in a given program. I'll be targeting that. So once I have that target, remember I'm looking at university students. That's the general, the holistic. Then I'm targeting those in public universities. Then I want to see of those in public universities, which students can I have access to? Which do I want to reach? I may want to reach those in public universities in the western region of Kenya. So that is now the accessible population. Those in universities in Kenya, like Kibabi University, Alupe University, Kaimosi University, Masina Muliro University, those are the ones I would describe as being accessible. So from the population, we have come to target, what are we targeting and what are we accessing? So out of that accessible population, the university students in the western part, public universities, Kibabi, Alupe, Masina Muliro, Kaimosi. Now, what am I going to choose so that I look at? So I want to choose those who are taking journalism. So my sample population will consist of those students who are one at the university for the population. They are at public universities, the target. 3, they are in the Western region, they're accessible. And now number 4, I am choosing those who are taking journalism, the sample. So out of what I've chosen, those in the public universities in the Western region are what I'll choose from. Now, what do I choose? So what I choose is what we now refer to as the units, the actual respondents. Those I choose at Kibabi, and maybe those I choose at Masina Muliro. Those are now the units, the ones I will interview, the ones that will fill the questionnaire, the ones that I'll take the photography, the one that I'll take the videos, the one that I'll have to observe. That gives us a clear distinction and definition of the various populations. So we can collect data from a population, out of which we target. From what we target, we check what we can access, and then we sample from the accessible one what to study as the units. So whatever data I will collect from them, that is what is described as the raw data. Data that is recorded as it occurs from the units. So if I interview, if I give a questionnaire, if I get the video, if I do the observations, out of those that I've chosen, out of the units, then that becomes my raw data. Remember, we talked of primary data, secondary data, qualitative data, and quantitative. So whether it is qualitative, where number is not assigned, whether it is quantitative and is either discrete or continuous, whether it is from what we did look at, we just go back, primary, what I've collected firsthand, or what I've read in books, because I may want to look at those who have graduated. So if I'm looking at the graduation rates, I'll therefore go for the graduation lists. If I meet those who are graduating, then that becomes primary. Then if I can assign a number, that becomes quantitative. If I assign number, that becomes quantitative. If I'm not able to assign number, then that becomes quantitative. Then I can describe the quantitative, whether it is discrete or continuous. So that is what data collection and the populations with the type that we are going to look at. So data will fall in any of those and can be collected by any of those. So we need now to move ahead and see how do we organize, because we are saying that statistics deals with collecting, organizing, and analyzing. We have seen how to collect. Let us now see how to organize. Now, when we talk of data organization, it's nothing but tabulation, making it orderly, making it easy for us to make meaning out of it. So tabulation is key and the basis of data organization. Why do we organize data? So that it's easy for us to make comparisons. Why do we tabulate it? So that we can locate the required data easily. Why do we organize it? To avoid unnecessary details. Why do we organize it? To summarize. And when we summarize, we therefore take less space for us to make meaning out of it. Now, how do we organize? The simplest way of organizing data is by way of array. An array means an arrangement of data in either ascending or descending order of magnitude. If you have data like regarding your age, those of you in this class, so if I picked 10 of you and you gave me your age, then it will be easy for me, and therefore I am able to organize it in either ascending or descending. Ascending meaning I start with the least to the highest. Descending means I start with the greatest to the least. That's what we mean. We are only creating order, organizing it on the basis of its magnitude. But we can also tabulate this so that we create a table that gives us a reflection, a summary for comparison, for us to locate the required data that avoids unnecessary details if we have information. For example, look at this case. That in the year 2021, you can take a photo of that because we want to use it. In the year 2021, a certain firm or a company employed 90 staff, of whom 90 were men. During the year, 17 staff left, and 13 of these were men. The total recruitment during the year was 13, out of whom 3 were women. In 2022, wastage declined by 3 among men as compared with 2021, and no woman left. 6 more men, but 1 fewer women were recruited than the previous year. The total number of employees as at 1st of January 2022, should be 2023, was 93. How do we tabulate such data? This is what we have collected. This is what we have. So, how do we organize this data? For us to organize this data, we must understand what we are given. Now, to help you, we are given 1, the time period, in terms of years, 2021, 2022. We are also given in terms of gender, men and women. These are the key parameters that we have. 1, the years, 2021, 2022. 2 is gender. We have men and women. Then 3, we have the employees now. Those at the start. 3, we have recruitments. Those that were newly employed. 4, we have those who left. So these are the key things that must be brought out, the key parameters in our table. So as we think of tabulating this, we must now show and bring out what is key in this question. Kevin, your hand is up. Anything? I want us to move together so that we see to it that we portray that data properly. So let us use this as an example and tabulate this data. So what are we talking about? We are talking about employees in a farm. That's okay. What are we talking about? We are talking about employees in a farm. That's what we are talking about. Now, what about these employees? We are talking that there is a time period. So we have for 2021, and then we have for 2022. For 2021, we are given in terms of men, then we are given in terms of women. Similarly, in 2022, we have men, then we have women. So I can still get the total. I can give the total for 2021 and also provide the total for 2022. See what I am bringing out. The parameter in terms of years. The parameter in terms of gender. Then I now have employees. Because I'm to give a table as first of January. I have information about that. I have information on recruitment. How many did I recruit? We have information on those who left. Then we can also provide now, because we are supposed to give a summary, I can give total. Let us keep now follow through. We are told in our question that in the year 2021, a certain firm employed 90 staff. So 90 staff is the total. So on first, that had a total of 90 staff, of whom 79 are men. So men are 79. How many women are there? 90 minus 79. 90 minus 79, that gives you 11. So we have completed the first statement. It had 90 staff, of whom 79 were men. So the women were therefore 11. We look at recruitment. We are told that during the year, 17 staff left. So we have those who left. During the year, 17 staff left. So those who left were 17. We can read this way because those ones left. Of whom 13 were men. So 13 were men. So a total of 17 left, 13 were men. So how many women left? 17 minus 13, that gives us 4. That is in terms of those who left. We are completing the table. Now we proceed. That the total recruitment during the year was 13. The total recruitment during the year was 13 were recruited. Of whom 3 were women. Of whom 3 were women. So how many men were recruited? 13 minus 3, that gives you 10. Please let us move together. So that gives us the first information regarding the year 2021. So at the end of 2021, how many men, how many women, and what was the total? So if I take 79 plus 10 minus 13, this gives me 89 minus 13. So that will be 6. Then this will be 8. So I have 86 men. Women, I have 11. We recruit 3, that makes 14. Minus 13, minus 4, that gives us 10. The total here would therefore be 86 plus 10, that gives you 96. So complete and confirm. That's for the year 2021. For 2022, at 1st January, how many men were there? They must do the total at the end. So the men are 86. How many women are there? 10. What's the total? 96. Those as at the end of the year of 2021 are the ones who are starting the year 2022. Now, with that in mind, let me proceed.
It is dog.
The 6 minutes straight.
76.
What the total here?
76.
This is 76. Thank you.
Yes.
The correct back 76. So this one goes to 86. 86. Thank you for that correction. So those are the ones that are standing for the subsequent year. So we proceed that wastage declined by 3 among women. What is this wastage? Wastage means those who left. So those who left was 17. For women, 13 men. But we are told it declined by 3 among men. So if it reduces by 3 and were 13, so it means in 2022, those who left were 3 less, and that gives us 10. We are told that as compared to 2021, and no woman left. So no woman left. Meaning the total number of staff who left were 10. And all of them were therefore men. Then we proceeded 6 more men, but 1 fewer woman were recruited. 6 more. What is the recruitment for 2021? There were 10 men. So in 2022, we are being brought 6 more. So it means 10 plus 6. That gives us 16. 1 fewer woman. 3 left. So 1 fewer, 3 were recruited. 1 fewer means we recruited 2. And therefore, a total of 18 were recruited. So at the end of 2022, how many men are there? 76 plus 16 minus 10. That gives us 82. How many women are there? 10. We recruited 2, 9 left. So that means we have 12. And therefore, the total number of staff at the end is 94. The total number of staff left at the farm is 94. So we have calculated that data. Out of those many stories, this is what we have. This is what we have summarized. So it's easier for us now to make comparison. We don't have so many details. We have taken this space, we can see everything at a glance. So how do we interpret this? Looking at men and women. 13 left, 4 left. 10 left, 0 left. What does that tell you? Simply, men need more than women. That's one interpretation. In terms of gender, 76, 10, 82, 12. There are more men than women in this company. This is the interpretation that we are making. That more men are leaving than women. There are more men than women in this part of company. If you are to employ, who will you therefore employ? A man or a woman? The decisions that we take should be informed by this. Because this is statistics, this is data. That you can have more men, women, employ more women. Why? Because fewer of them will leave the company. On which basis? The more the person stays in the company, the more productive that person is. So you need to retain your staff. The staff turnover has to be low. Because if it's high, it means you are training for other people. Somebody comes, you train, give the skills, they go. So you will be in the business of training at the expense of the productivity of the farm. Look at it in terms of the affirmative action. If the law says that attack should be of the opposite gender, we have 10 against 26. We have 12 against 22. Is it compliant? So you take decisions that we now employ this because we want to comply with the law, the affirmative action that says attack should be of the opposite gender. So with that, you are taking those decisions. And the company can therefore say, we are employing, and that's why you see in adverts they say women are encouraged to apply. It's out of this analysis. Because they will be focusing more on women. And this is the beauty of statistics. Because we are dealing with facts, we are dealing with numbers. This is the essence, and this is the thing. Statistics, why it is. Ask any questions, that far. Ask any questions based on that.
Why is it at the end?
Why?
Why is it at the end of 2022 is 93 and yours is 94?
Is it 19?
Yeah.
If you do the mathematics, 86 plus 18 minus 10, what do you get?
94.
Get 94.
You get 93 or 94?
94.
Where are you getting 93? I know where you're getting it. That was an error which you are correcting. Another question? Are we together? Now look at this.
One.
Takureza.
Somebody has a question? Somebody saying that 21. 11 plus 11 plus minus 4 gets 9. Gets 9. So example. Why this example? The following report was prepared by of students in a certain institution. Out of 3,500 male candidates below 20 years of age, 500 passed. Of the 1,100 male candidates, over 900 failed. As regards the female candidates, out of 500 candidates below 20 years of age, 400 failed. Of the 340 females, 20 years and above, tabulate the information. So with this, you need to understand what are the images that you have. So this report is dealing with the student performance. So we have performance in terms of those who passed and those who failed. This has been categorized and it's being given in terms of gender. So we can do it in a table way as long as we reflect those who passed, those who failed. Those that are below 20 years, male, female. Those that are 20 years and above, men, women. That's what we need to reflect. I'm going to go back to the camera. Screenshot the question. Somebody is saying that they're not hearing anything. We also have guidance here that guide us on whether you are hearing or not.
Your sound has been echoing, that's why you are not getting it.
So, we are looking at student performance. Student performance is given in terms of those who have passed and those who have failed. Then you can give the total. So how many passed, how many failed, that's what we are given. Then we are those that are below 12 years. We have men, women. Then we have 20 years and above. We have men, we have women. Then you can give the total. That's what we need to reflect. We have student performance, those who pass, those who fail, and the total. We have those that are below 20 years, men, women. We have those that are 20 years and over, men, women. Then you can see the total of those who pass, the total of those who fail, and then what's the grand total of our student population. Let us tabulate that before we move to the next stage.
Share the question, please, though.
When you've done that, you give us your results in the chat box. That's table.
The question was,
I said you screenshot.
Are you sure we are getting really? We are not getting anything. Kindly just mute everybody because we are just listening to echoes here.
Is it on my side or your side? The echoes.
from your side.
On our
Echoes are
side.
coming from your side, man.
You're not getting the question, please. Just share the question.
Please let us move together. When I give the question and say screenshot, please do. There is a question. Have you copied the question? I think this is another example I've given you. Allow that we proceed. Check that the total who passed, all those who passed are 880. All those who failed are 4,560. You can see the pass rate. 880 divided by 45, before 40. Then you can see how many people pass. And the failure rate of that exam. It means people fail a lot. And some of you are worried that you will also fail because you are jokers in this class. But I see that those who are serious, they score very highly in this course. And those who are still might be disappointed. Now, this way of tabulation is possible if you have small groups. But if you are dealing with the large groups, it becomes difficult. Like for the case of our case, if we are considering large samples, large units, I think when I talk about units and samples now, you understand because we divide them under the population. Then there is need for us to prepare better tables. Now, how do we prepare better tables? We can prepare them by way of that was our results. We can prepare them by way of doing what we refer to as frequency distribution table. These are tables that show how the total frequency, the totality, is distributed over the various values of a variable. We do it by grouping values into class intervals. So that the frequency, which actually gives us the number of times the observation will last, is recorded. We can do this for small and large data. But if the data is too large, the construction of discrete frequency distribution is cumbersome. Therefore, we group the observations to have them continuous. The frequency distribution, where data is distributed into categories, is what we refer to as grouped frequency tables. That which gives the discrete is a discrete frequency distribution. Look at the case on the chalkboard. You see, for this case, we have what is given: 102, 105, 108, 201, 96, 99, 204. Remember what we said is to have an array. So if this is the case, we should actually be able to provide the distribution of what it is in a discrete way. So organizing this in an array will give us 96, 99, 102, 105, 109, 108, 201, then 204. And each is appearing once. But suppose we are dealing with 100 of them, then it becomes difficult. How do we therefore go ahead to provide for what to group? There is normally a procedure, and allow me to take you through the procedure on how to make a group frequency distribution. First is we determine the range, the difference between the least and highest observation. Then we select how many class intervals do we need, K. And normally we need a minimum of 5 or maximum of 20. Then determine the class height. Some books talk of C, others will use letter I. And then we determine the lower class limit or the lower class boundary, which includes the list observation. We are going to look at that practically. Then we generate other limits or boundaries by adding the class signs. Then finally, we tally the observations. Finally, we tally the observations. Now, look at the case example 1. The following marks were obtained by students in an exam. So these are actual marks. So you look at the marks, what is the highest? The highest is 74. What is the least? The least is 25. So the range R gives us 74 minus 25, that gives us 49. In number 2, step 2, we say select the number of classes, K. Suppose we select the minimum 5. Then we choose class size I. So class size is R over K. So 49 divided by 5, that gives us 9.8, which we can comfortably conclude or abbreviate to 10 to the nearest whole number. So if our R is 49, our K is 5, then our C is 10. How do we now go about generating the group frequency distribution? The group frequency distribution, therefore, follows suit because we know the least and we know the highest value. Let us see this example now.
Hello, Doc. For continuation, I have a question.
The next one.
Now, what are we dealing with? We are dealing with marks. Then we have number of students. We have said that our range R is 49. The number of classes we have chosen 5, and therefore our class size, which is I or C, I'll be using I for that matter, this is approximately 10. In step 2, which we have done, step 3, we choose the lowest class limit or boundary so that we add. We are going to explain what a limit and a boundary is so that we add the class size. So our list is 25. Our highest is 74. For uniformity purposes, the rule of the thumb is that we choose so that 25 is inclusive. So for uniformity, let us start with the 25. You are asking where I've gotten 5. Go back and check. Select the number, the procedure number 2, select the number of classes K. K lies between 5 and 20. So you choose how many intervals you want. K is that interval. So I chose 5, which is the minimum. We can choose 6. We can choose 7. But for uniformity, let us choose 5. That's what I say. So if we start with 25, 2, with our class size of 10, what will be the value that this interval will extend up to? You normally take your answer to school teacher for granted, but they did a good job. Just count your fingers. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and then 34. So this will extend from 25 to 34. Don't add 25 plus 10. But just count so that you have 10 intervals. Then in number 4, step 4, we were told, please add the class size. So class size is 10. So 25 plus 10, this gives you 35. 2, 34 plus 10, that gives you 44. Plus 10, this gives you 45. Plus 10, this gives you 54. Do that until 74 is inclusive. We do that until 74 is inclusive. So we shall have 55 to 64. Then 65 to 74. We have generated our class intervals or the groups for that matter. Now, what we are left with is to count how many students got 25 to 34. Then complete. 35 to 44. Then complete. Complete that step and share your results on the chat box. Complete that. Please be cautious. Julius, you either keep quiet or we send you out of class. These people already have the notes. They have this like. Am I asking the question? We are grouping. Count how many they are in each of those intervals. Two 16, 8.
216 8.
Interval does the need calculation. Say you deduce. Don't teach me how to teach. I'm the one teaching. Unajifanya mjuaji na wewe ndio utapata supu. Two 16, 8, 8, 6. This is 2, 16, 8, 8, 6. Total. Put the total there. How many are they? Put the total there.
It's 40.
40.
Yeah, it's 40.
That's 40. Now, suppose a student scored 44.5 because we say marks are continuous. Quantitative, continuous. Where would you place that student? Notice that 44.5 is between 35 to 44 and 45 to 54. Which consequently means the first interval will get 34.5. Second interval starts from 34.5 to 44.5. This is 44.5, 54.5, 54.5, 64.5, 64.5, 74.5. This is start from 24.5. If you look at this, the interval 24.5 to 34 starts from 24.5 to 34.5. The interval 35 to 44 starts from 34.5 to 44.5. What we are saying is these values, these are what we are referring to as the class limits. Then these values, these are the class boundaries. In our case, the limits 25, 35, 45. These are the lower class limits. The limits 40, 34, 44, 54, and so on. These are the upper class limits. Similarly, 24.5, 34.5, these are the lower class boundaries. And these are the upper class boundaries. So when we talk of limits, this is what we can include. When we talk of boundaries, This is the farthest that we can go. Reflect at home your boundary with your neighbor and where you normally plow or do your activities up to. Where you do your activities up to, that is the limits. Where you share the common edge, that's the boundary. The basic question and food for thought for you is, where will I place a student who scored 44.5? Because 44.5 is here, 44.5 is here. So to which interval should I include? Because of this, read about it. The class boundaries should never coincide with the actual observations. That's the rule of the term. Class boundaries should not always coincide with the class, with the observations. That is the term rule. Example 2. I've realized some of you already have this, and therefore you are not giving your colleagues an opportunity to work it out. Please let us give the opportunity to our colleagues. Don't do as if they know it all. So that's example 2. The age at death of people in a certain village was recorded as follows. Generate a frequency distribution of the class size 5. We have been told class size 5. So if it's a class size of 5, it means we have already worked out. And for uniformity, suppose you start with 30. Because the list of observation here, I can see is, I've seen 35, 34. I've seen 34. And we said that it should include. So if it's 30 with a class size of 5, it should be 30 to 34, 35 to 39, and so on. Please do that. Start with 30. Then count the number of deaths and generate the frequency distribution. The number of deaths and generate frequency distribution. So what you have is the age at death, then number of people. Please complete. So please complete. We have said that you start with 30 to 34, 35 to 39, 40 to 44. Continue until you include the largest observation. We will not go at your pace. Tukipita mahali you want us to go back, we will not move. Can you pay attention? Mwaje ujinga wenu yenye mnafanya. Some of you are just doing your own things. That is it. We can proceed. So you should get those results. Once being created. And finally, you can get the exercise. You enjoy that exercise. Then you look at it. So are there any questions before we conclude? Unmute and ask. Somebody is getting a tally of that 5. That 5 is wrong. You can see how some of you will fail. Some getting 42, others 35, others 44 as the total. That's how you start failing. And nikiwaambia mnafikiria ni mchezo. Huyu tekino KJ huyu. Mnaanguka tu. Mwingine 41. Anguka tu. We'll deal with you. Kidogo kwa mtihani utasema ilikuwa rahisi. Then you come complaining you don't know how you got the soup. $43, $42, $43, $40. 43, $444. And that's what you'll be writing in the exam. 40. Anguka. We are working with the same data. How do we get the different results? So if there is no question, allow that we conclude and stop at that. We did not have our catch today. We plan to have it next week. So we'll decide what time to have the cut. We can as well decide to have the exam and the lesson. So we shall look into it. Thank you. So unless there's something, anybody with a question to unmute and ask? Please unmute and ask the question.
Okay, my question is,
yes.
How does the choice of class interval affect the accuracy or interpretation of a frequency distribution table? That is my question.
If you make them too wide, they give false results and therefore false interpretation and false decision making. Call those ones type 1 and type 2 error, which is too advanced for you at this stage. That's why those guiding principles that we talked about, if you remember, we were very particular. We said that determine the range, select the number of classes K between 5 and 20, determine the class height. How do we determine that? Look at 4. Determine the lower class boundary limit such that it includes the list observation. So the list observation must guide you. It must be included in the first. That's the key thing to avoid or to minimize those errors that we're asking about.
Okay.
Another question? Move close to your budget. Somebody has a question? Okay. Thank you so much. We adjourn until next week.
There is a question here. There is a question here.
When I ask Uliza.
Though it is on income tax.
Ask.
What does a question mean when it asks you about entitled allowance?
Entitled. That's what what goes to the office. Entitled. That means you have to receive those allowances.
So will it be included in your calculations?
You know?
Will it be included in when you're calculating gross income?
Yes. Gross income, how do we define it? It is the basic salary plus all other allowances. All allowances. All allowances.
So it will be included.
That's what I'm saying. It is is included. It's
Not
all allowances, not tax.
Okay, there is another question here.
Yes.
What is the difference between cumulative frequency and normal frequency in a frequency distribution table?
Be patient, we shall get there. We are yet to learn about cumulative frequency.
Okay.
Another?
Okay.
There is a question here.
Yes.
How can you handle extreme values when constructing a frequency distribution table?
Extreme values.
Yes.
You can truncate them.
Okay, sir.
You will see that if we look at it under measures of central tendency. Truncated. You truncate them.
What if some data values fall exactly on the class boundary? How should they be recorded? The frequency distribution.
A good question. Answer that. I said at no single point should the observations fall on the boundaries. So as much as possible, ensure that there is no value that falls on the boundary, but it can fall on the limit. Go to it clearly, and that's what I explained.
Okay, I got you.
What is the difference between
Another
taxable
question.
and gross income?
Yes.
What
How
is the
can you
difference
convert?
between taxable income and gross income?
I told that one last time. It's in your notes. I
A
told
question.
taxable income, gross income, and we did calculation. So when you ask me, it means you have read nothing and you got nothing.
A question.
Yes.
How can you convert frequency distribution table into a relative frequency histogram?
We said that statistics deals with the methods of collecting, organizing, analyzing. We have done collecting, we have done organizing. Now you are asking me about analysis. Why can't you wait when we get there? Unadanganywa nini? Ndio mtaanguka na waambie mtaanguka. Mnajifanya wajuaji hapa. I put you on good relative frequency. Mnaona vitu tulisoma mnauliza. Vitu yenye hatujasoma mnauliza.
Ni mbaya.
Mbona mcheke
Wangu ni
coach?
mbaya.
Relative frequency. Mungu anaeleza
Mbona
tatizo.
ulikuwa
Wangu ni mbaya. Sitaki ujue.
Tena wote.
Where are you?
Kitu walifanyiwa.
Unajifanya wajuaji hapa ndio tutaanguka. Hizo kitu tumesoma hapo nyuma na ama tumesoma.
Sisi ni shauri. Ndo anataka kumaliza syllabus.
Nikiwaambia enda msome mtasema hapana. Haya enda soma sasa.
Hapana.
Hapana. We have looked at that organization. And that's where we are. We have not begun analysis. And somebody said, we have not done data presentation.
Ndio nisome.
Mnasoma mbele ya lecture. Watu wanauliza
nani anachokoza lecture? Nani anachokoza lecture?
We are doing, we are looking at quiet. We have Fika organization, hajafika analysis. Na mtu aka anakuuliza kitu.
Jifanya wajuaji.
Lecturer alikuwa amefurahi tu
Last time we were doing the
mnamkosea.
calculations, gross income, taxable
Unajifanya sharp student.
Thank you.
Lecturer alikuwa amefurahi tu, sasa mnamkasirisha mimi. Anauliza swali yenye anajua.
Musa, Mzelu, ni uchungu sana, ni uchungu sana.
Nikafanya lecturer akaenda kama amekasirika. Sasa
Guys, mnyamaze. Mnyamaze nika amalize twende.
As we conclude the class, next week we are going to have part one. As usually do. Do I need to announce on WhatsApp? No. Let me just announce here. Tomorrow or next week, we're going to have part one. So prepare them with what we have covered so far. I think I want to announce again. Just know next week, the class starts on 7th. So the class also starts on exactly the same time. I think that's all it. Kama kuna swali niangalia katika hiyo tunasoma notes za next lesson na mnaanza kuuliza hapa. That okay? Next week.
Bana, leo unaongea kwa sauti ya chini bana, hata sisikii.
Au ski bado? Increase your volume. So mwangalie. We have said that next week we're going to have part one, whatever we have covered from lesson 1 up to today. Online. From 7 a.m. I think that's in order.
7 a.m. next week.
Have a nice Thursday. We continue for those who don't have notes. I uploaded the
time
slides.
What would be the time?
As early as from 7 a.m.
Okay,
but
sir.
But they can't run maybe up to 9. So that you don't need to struggle. Only 30 questions or maybe 30 marks. So take your time.
30 questions.
The notes are on the e-learning. For those who are asking for the notes, whatever we have covered, even you have seen some members are asking questions about content that you have not covered because they have the slides. So get your slides. When the lecturer is teaching, you are aware of what's going on. All our classes that we have covered up today, they are on YouTube. So every time I post the link for Zoom, hapo chini kuna kuanga na link ya YouTube. So you can access whatever we have covered so far for revision. Yeah. Any other question? For those who maybe have not enrolled the course, I think you have up to the end of this week to enroll because I'm supposed to disable enrollment so that I can fill now. So most probably by mid next week to not be able to enroll that course because I'll be doing some checkup on the participants. So you have campaign next week. So let's have the cut as early morning so that you can immerse in your campaigns. Yeah.
Yaani Afrika mzima imenyamaza iongelee mambo ya Iran, lakini kuna Kenya. Nasikia washatuma warning huko. Ukisikia Kasongo akisema wachana na vita ama ingilie.
Catch me online. Can you group work? Those who maybe when maybe mathematics is not getting into your house. Do group discussions.
Microphone hapa za Githeri.
Tumesema cut next week kuanzia saa 1 asubuhi so that you can do your campaigns.
Wewe cut siku gani majibu?
Hivyo tumesema.
Na kampeni itakuwa
sijui sasa. Mambo ya campaign is not in my
Sasa wakisema kati iko sasa
Wewe ama jamaa, hiyo cut ni kesho ama?
Tuna campaign kusoma. Oh my goodness. Online.
Unataka kusoma wapi? Hati simnyamaze Magdi aongee.
Sio unatoka tu kesho na umesikia tu next week. Hapo unapenda kusumbua.
Hatuna campaign kusoma. Unakuwa hapo Commerce Power unasoma taxation.
Magdio ni kwa curriculum ban.
Ban.
Magdi.
Hivi wenye mnaongea simtilie sasa Magdi aongee.
Sasa Magdi aongee.
Sasa mimi nimekuwa na class Professor Wasike nilikuwa nafunza sawa 1000 per hour. Mebeba nini? Yativet. Kat tumesema ni asubuhi.
Yaani Afrika mzima imenyamaza iongelee mambo ya Iran, lakini kuna Kenya. Nasikia washatuma warning huko.
Ukisikia Kasongo akisema wachana na vita ama ingilie. Ndio sisi tunaweza pigana. Kwani yuko nini? Bora tuko na nuclear.
Sasa Kenya iko na nuclear ya kupigana.
Allow me to end the class.
Family mingi hapa Kenya.
Having no any other comments.
Ni kuweka tu jacket ama tuzime kama nyongi ya jana. Sisi tuko na wajadi.
Mimi nimeelewa taxation. Mimi ndio nimekuwa cameraman.
Magdi.
Kama mimi nimekuwa cameraman na nimeelewa taxation. Ati nani mwingine?
What shows that you have understood?
Hata leo ijapata taxation.
Mimi nimeelewa vitu za leo. Ndio mambo za frequency class. Mnasema vitu gani?
Magdi. What is tax evasion?
Sio ni kukanyagia tax. Mimi tunashikanisha.
Ama kwa
Kanyagia tax Buddha. Hata mimi nimejipanga tu vizuri, hata hivyo mtihani yenyewe I can do it.
Drug prevention.
Kanyanga high school.
Amesoma kutoka kitambo.
Usiume moja ya jina.
Nilifanya form 4. Nilifanya form 4 10 years ago and I still can remember those things. Na nyinyi mmefanya
Najua maswali inakuja.
Different capacity of learning.
So what you can do kama hujashikanisha, find a group, do a discussion from whatever we have been.
By the way, you're the best.
Na ni rahisi. Kitu rahisi.
Number gani? Let me end this class. Have a nice day.